Carol.
And I'm Carolyn.
And I teach high school English.
And I teach high school drama.
And when we're not caught up in the own drama of our drama,
yes,
we travel around and see lots of shows and productions.
Yes, we do. And
I like your sweater, you know.
Oh, today it's Hanukkah. It's the holiday season.
How about that?
And I decided to wear my Hanukkah sweater.
Yeah. Did you make latkes?
I did. I made latkes last night, and we've been lighting candles every night.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all that, we get to go to the theater at the same time.
Right. And we just saw Matilda.
We saw Matilda at the Walnut Street Theater, and I want to give a huge shout out to Kate Bove, who is a 6th grader at Rosa International Middle School in Cherry Hill, the district we teach in. She did a great job. She played Amanda, the famous character, because I watched the movie as well, who gets flung by Mrs. Trunchbull.
Yeah.
And pops right back up.
Pops back up.
Yes, she does.
And I thought that she did a great job.
She did.
Yeah.
She did a great job.
And she was a unicorn.
Yes,
in the beginning of the show.
What an adorable costume.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about costumes later because they were spectacular.
Yeah. So she was, but she did a nice job with her little unicorn and her rainbow Uggs.
Right, rainbow Uggs. And there were a lot of local actors in this production who are equity actors, professional production, as well as New York actors. So it's really great to see what talent Philadelphia has as well.
And I really, really enjoyed the production. I had seen the show on Broadway, and I was looking forward to seeing it at the Walnut. You and I wanted to see Kate, but we also wanted to just go and see what the show was about. And if you don't know the story, it's a typical Roald Dahl story. It's about this girl, Matilda, who is 5, and she's extremely precocious for 5. She can read and do math problems in her head. And in like most Roald Dahl books, she's born to these really awful parents, the Wormwoods, right? And they can't stand the fact that Matilda just wants to read books. They don't understand why she's not watching television all the time like the brother. And so the story is, again, typical Roald Dahl, where you have these villainous sort of adults and this child.
I say it's like a modern Cinderella, because the Cinderella tales that
aren't Disney-fied.
Are not Disney-fied, which is what I like to say,
Yeah.
are very much like this story.
Right.
And this show, by the way, won 5 Tony Awards when it was on Broadway.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome.
And it holds the record with Hamilton for the most Olivier nominations,
I know.
right? So I think it's 8 or 9 or whatever it is. But it's a great show.
Fantastic show.
There's a lot of good numbers in it, and I enjoyed it. I liked the. As a child growing up, I was a huge Roald Dahl fan. I think I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory like 20 sometimes or whatever. Matilda came out the year my son was born. And, we read it a lot.
I watched the movie.
I never saw
the show.
I never saw the movie.
I actually used to like the movie a lot, and I watched it, and I like the show better.
I like the show.
I did, because I used to love the movie, because it's a Danny DeVito. I like Danny DeVito. So
I do too, but you either have to love Roald Dahl or you don't, because you don't understand what he's trying to do.
And the parents in this production, the Wormwoods, were fantastic. So Lynn Philistine and Christopher Sutton played Mr. and Mrs. Wormwood, and they are actually a married couple.
Yes.
So I decided to check who they were, because I like to see who the actors are in the shows we see. And it turns out that they actually played a married couple, the parents, in A Christmas Story that the Walnut did a few years ago. So they had a really great chemistry. I loved their chemistry.
And the part I liked at the end of, the beginning of Act 2, when Mr. Wormwood comes out and does that little skit with the audience.
Yeah, I love that.
And there's that interaction. And then right after him, Lavender, another character who's Matilda's best friend, comes out and sort of gives the backstory about the newt and the water to the audience. It was very interesting to kind of break that fourth wall. And you even said to me, did they do this in the Broadway show too?
Yeah, I did, because I didn't know if that was something the Walnut chose to do, And I will say the young lady, Ellie Byron, who played Matilda, was was lovely.
Yeah.
She was really wonderful to watch. I even like the brother. It's a small part, and Michael, and he's much younger in the movie. He was a teenager in this production, but he was much younger in the movie, and I liked him. He was funny. Mark Donaldson played Michael, and I do want to talk about Mrs. Trunchbull, who was played by Ian Merrill Peaks in drag, and he was fabulous. But you know who he reminded me of? You know what I'm going to say,
I don't know.
You do? Who do you think he reminded me of? You don't know. Tim Curry.
No.
He did.
No.
I thought he was like Tim Curry.
No. Because he's really not in drag.
Well, he's not in drag.
Right?
That's right.
Like, I mean, he's not in drag like you think, like RuPaul.
No.
He's wearing a dress.
Right.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
I thought he was
because
great.
you're not really supposed to know if Mrs. Trunchbull is a man or if she's a woman.
Right.
Okay? And so he did that well.
Yeah.
And I saw Bertie Cavill on Broadway, who was nominated for the Tony when he played that role. And you know, this actor was equally as good in my mind. Like, I couldn't see that there was a difference in the two
He was
of them.
wonderful. And you know who, like, my favorite character was? Like, there was a featured role of Rudolpho, who is Mrs. Wormwood's
dance partner.
And he was just spectacular. I thought he was so wonderful. And it's not a huge part, but when he appears, it's
funny.
Well, he poses all over. And his name is Jacob Tischler. My maiden name is Tischler. So I don't know, Jacob, if we're related in some way. But if we were, it wouldn't be a bad thing because you're pretty talented. But he was awesome.
And the character that I really liked, and again, a minor character, was the actor who played the doctor in the beginning, and then played the escapologist and Miss Honey's father, Maximus.
Elliot Stiles is his name, and he was
phenomenal. He has a tremendous voice. Like, his voice was, you know, you don't expect to have this great voice come out of this sort of small part.
Right.
And when he sings in the opening number and then he sings again later in the show, it was really phenomenal.
And we should talk, there's a story within the story. So that escapologist and the acrobat story is a story within the story. And you have this librarian, Miss Phelps, who was played by Demetria Joyce Bailey, who was also phenomenal.
And that's a stock character in these Roald Dahl stories, right? Like this, you know, in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which I saw in New York, and then I recently saw again a couple weeks ago with my mom, and I was sort of comparing last night as we were watching the two because the one was fresh in my mind. But there's this stock character in Charlie, also this woman who is the vegetable seller, and she sells the rotten vegetables, but it sort of gives Charlie this chance. You know, it reminds me of the mentor sort of role that pops up in, you know, like Glinda the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz, or, you know, Athena in the Odyssey. Whenever Odysseus needed help, Athena was there, and whenever, you know, Charlie needed help, the vegetable lady was there, and whenever Matilda needed help, this librarian was there to kind of allow her to sort of move to where she needed to be. So she's telling the story to the librarian about the escapologist and the trapeze artist, and she makes up this whole elaborate story that, come to find out, is really Miss Honey's story.
And she was wonderful too, Miss Honey.
Yeah.
That's quite a part. So
and you see as the character develops through the show, you saw her develop,
come out of her shell,
and her voice got stronger, and she took more of a stage presence. I thought she was really good.
I did too. So we can talk about our musical numbers because you saw it on Broadway and I did not.
Yeah.
So my experience with Matilda is the Walnut Street Theater's fabulous production. But I have seen like what was shown on the Tony Awards and on YouTube videos, and I know that there were a few numbers. And the one number, When I Grow Up, which was done on swings in Broadway.
And I said to you when we were going that I was concerned if that number would work without the swings.
And what they did was they used slides and a seesaw, and I thought that
it worked.
It worked because it still had all those elements of this kind of flow
Right.
that the swings had, and also of this,
And the
kind of
moving.
youthfulness.
Right.
Right? That this is their childhood, the innocence of childhood
Right.
in the playground compared to what's going on. So I thought,
Yeah.
I loved the slides.
Well,
I
and
really
I
did.
was-
They were coming down, and then Miss Honey,
comes out.
onto the slide,
Right.
which was great.
Right.
That was really good.
Yeah, and I was concerned about that. And the other number that I was a little bit concerned about was revolting children at the
Yes,
end,
yes.
right? Because in the Broadway show, they're coming out, and it sort of has this sort of combination of School of Rock,
Yeah.
and Comet of 1812, where there's this hard rock pounding beat,
Right.
and on Broadway the kids are actually pounding the desk,
Right.
right? They start out beating the desk on the floor, and they didn't do that at Walnut, but they didn't need to. I didn't
No,
think. Like
no.
I was concerned about how that was going to look, because it's very high energy, and they're out in the audience, and they were moving in and out of the audience on Broadway,
Right.
and they did that piece of it at the Walnut. Like they came in and out. They were in the audience during that number.
Yeah. Oh, I love that they were. I love.
I know
putting,
you did.
I like to put
Miss
actors in the audience.
Miss Trunchbull runs out. She
Everybody's
runs
in the audience. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I like that. So let's talk about the set now at the Walnut.
Yeah, because that was the best part to me.
So, yeah, when you walk in, you see this incredible stack of books on the stage, but also up in the flies,
Right.
they have these books, which adds really nice dimension to this
Right.
set. And
I actually thought those books were going to come down, and they were going to swing on those
didn't.
books.
No, they didn't need to swing on those books, but I really, really loved that whole look. And then these pieces come out on tracks, which was great.
Right.
I thought that was really great. Now, for me, the Wormwood's house was this, like, color burst of all these different colors.
Well,
and
it was like a TV show.
you are right.
Right?
I said it was like, it was chaotic. It was overwhelming, but it's like Technicolor TV.
Right. It was like one of those 1950s
Technicolor TV.
Technicolor, the Brady.
And so Matilda contrasts in what she wears. She's very kind of plain, whereas Mrs. Wormwood's in this purple and sequins, and he's in this like multicolored kind
plaid
of
suit.
Right. So I thought that was really neat that they had all this burst of kind of color, but
Right.
I felt like it was sort of like the chaos of Matilda's home.
Well, they're all obsessed with, they don't understand why Matilda reads books and doesn't watch television.
Right.
So to me, the set sort of took on this television-esque quality.
Yeah, that
and
makes sense.
there's one time where they're even, one of the characters even crawls through the television screen.
Right.
Right. Like they're crawling into this set, to the house,
Right.
and then they're crawling out of it.
And then, contrast to the school, which was all grays and
Grays
blacks
and dark.
and browns and, all these kind of muddy colors. It's a English boarding school
Right.
sort of feel to it.
Right.
Because in the movie, it's not like that. Because they Americanized it in the movie. First of all, that's the first thing they did. And it's just a regular school with Mrs. Trunchbull. I like this so much better.
And I remember also saying to you when I saw it on Broadway, one of the problems that I had with the Broadway production was their British accents were too heavy.
Right.
And it was really at times difficult to understand them.
Right.
And I thought the Walnut did a great balance of, they had the British accents, but they weren't to the point where they were so heavy that there were times when the script got lost.
Right.
So I was excited. And then, the blocks on the sides, there were books set up on the sides that the characters used. They sat on, they climbed on them.
It was really great high energy production.
Yeah.
And you can't ask for more than that. It was fun.
It was
like
fun.
I had so much fun.
Well, and that's what we were sitting, and there was a 4-year-old sitting behind us, and I always like to talk to people. So, at intermission, I asked her, her mom was concerned that she was annoying us because she was moving around, and she wasn't. I mean, I thought she was very age appropriate. But, I asked her, how do you like it and do you get it? And she loved it. And the one thing that she said to me was, she had whispered to her mom during the production, all the colors match, right? And I thought, she's getting exactly what we were just talking about, this whole idea that there's color and then there's not color, right? And I said to her, you like that part? And she was like, how did you hear me? Well, because
you're sitting behind us.
I eavesdropped. But but she laughed at all the appropriate
Yes, she
places,
did.
right? Like she got the jokes, like, and there were some that were, the humor's a little bit older and adult,
Right.
but she laughed at all the appropriate places, and she was 4, and so I think that it's a
4.5.
4.5, and she'll be 5 after the new year.
Yes, she will.
Right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that it would be a perfect. You can take your kids to see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And we really enjoyed, this first year of doing shows for you all.
Right.
And we are looking forward to more this year because our producers got a lot of fun shows lined up.
Right.
So, and we're getting a new set. Very exciting for us.
Yeah.
We can't wait to see all the shows.
Right.
So, happy holidays, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we
then
look forward.
Can I eat my cupcake?
You can eat your cupcake. And until next time, break a leg.